in Australia, and the irresistible call of the surf that rolls in white-capped splendour onto our vast coastline from north of Brisbane to north of Perth. For 6 months, our beaches become a glorious national playground, God-given health resorts for harassed dwellers in the cities, for sun-parched people from the backcountry. Like shining golden jewels in a diadem of sea and sky and sun, these world-famed inlets of surf-pounded sand beckon an invitation to all Australia. In the past 50 years, surfing has become a national pastime, an integral part of our way of life, an outlet for carefree pleasure and exhilaration, an escape from the worries of our workaday world, a symbol of Australian democracy. Where is there a greater thrill than the triumph of balancing a slim surfboard on the crest of a surging wave? A perfectly timed body shoot on a curving green roller envelops you in a soul of foam. This youngster, poised and serene on his surfboard, has grown up since childhood to love the surf and to accept it as a joy-giving bounty of nature which he can turn to his use and control as his fancy pleases. Often hidden and unseen, an element of peril lurks constantly over the inexperienced who are heedless of rips and undertows. So it is to the men and boys of our surf clubs who, in their own time and at their own expense, go on patrol to meet danger wherever and whenever it may arise. Ampol Petroleum Limited, an Australian company that serves Australians, dedicates this film. The Lifesavers must vigilance and service. They combine indulgence in a wholesome, muscle-building sport with service to the whole community. They are the sportsmen who hold the enduring regard of that grand sportsman, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. They are the men he had in mind when he said in a BBC broadcast,
"It seems to me that there are two basic conditions that must be fulfilled in any leisure time voluntary activity. It must contain a challenge and it must give a sense of satisfaction. Whatever we take up, it mustn't be too easily mastered or we get no feeling of achievement. And I suspect that most people get the greatest satisfaction if their leisure time activities, or one of them, is either directly or indirectly a service of some sort to other people. And look at the lifesavers, the surf lifesavers of Australia. They pay a subscription to their clubs for the privilege of risking their necks to save others."
The Australian surf life-saving movement is unique. Its members give up one weekend in every 3 during the months of summer for voluntary beach patrol. And before they can go on patrol, they must spend months in training and must pass rigorous tests in swimming and resuscitation. On patrol, they watch everything that happens on the beach. Thousands of rescues like this occur every weekend in summer on beaches all over the nation. From Australia, the surf life-saving movement has spread around the world, even to the United States. Here is the Qantas Constellation, bringing to Australia members of the Surf Life-Saving Associations in America and Honolulu on a visit sponsored by Ampol Petroleum Limited, which also helped teams from South Africa, New Zealand and Ceylon to come to Australia. the Americans had a wonderful trip with Qantas. The handsome young giant leading the Americans is Tad Devine, son of the well-known film star Andy Devine. Tad is one of the most powerful surf swimmers in the world. The Americans and Hawaiians came to Australia for international surf carnivals made possible by the sponsorship of Ampol Petroleum Limited. They took time out from their surf training to learn from Aborigine expert Joe Timbry how to make a boomerang fly. They turn their heads in wide-eyed wonder as he sends the curved stick circling through the air. But the Americans didn't trust it. They were always ready to duck. Kirby Temple, captain of the Americans, says this is really something. Tad Devine is an eager pupil. He soon masters the art of making the boomerang return. Another visitor for the international carnivals was Duke Kahanamoku, sheriff of Honolulu, former champion Olympic swimmer, who introduced surfboard riding to Australia in 1915. The Duke smiles with delight as he meets a boy to whom he taught surfboard riding 40 years ago. At least Claude West was a boy then. He helped the Duke make the 90-pound board the Duke is holding. They made it in a timber yard from a log of sugar pine. Hawaiian Tom Schroeder tries the Duke's board, but finds it's too heavy compared with the 22-pound balsa board he uses. Duke Kahanamoku watches as the Hawaiians and Americans on their featherweight boards go through their paces. Here, Greg Knoll of Los Angeles comes in on the green water. A quick movement of his feet, a slight swing of his shoulders, and he holds his balance. He moves with the grace and lightness of a ballet dancer to retain his control. Nonchalant Mike Bright, also of Los Angeles, the world's greatest board rider, joins Knoll on a wave. Here's Greg Knoll in another fabulous display. He is a complete master as he makes the light piece of smooth timber beneath him twist and turn at his slightest change of balance. Slow motion shows the startling beauty of Greg Knoll's command of his surfboard. Blonde Tommy Zahn, champion board rider of Hawaii, and then Greg Knoll rise like sons of King Neptune on the same green comber. Mike Bright again. No wonder he's the best in the world. He makes it seem just too easy as he glides with casual indolence just ahead of the cresting wave. Zahn and Knoll. Once more, Knoll tries some tricky twists and turns. Zahn is motion in perfection. His magnificent physique makes him a classic figure against a backdrop of foaming surf. Duke Kahanamoku tells these young Australians that he expects them to carry on their heritage of the surf. The Americans brought with them flotation rescue equipment never seen before in Australia. This rubber buoy, which Tad Devine is showing to a patrol from Manly Club in Sydney, is standard lifeguard equipment in Los Angeles. American Dave Ballinger displays an aluminium torpedo buoy strong enough to hold up 6 adult swimmers. 2 Sid Beach girls help out in the demonstration of the equipment. There go the Americans, 2 of the strongest rough water swimmers in the world. Devine loops the rubber buoy around his patient. The other patient clings to the aluminium buoy, which Ballinger has in tow. Melbourne and Elwood Club on Port Phillip Bay. This club was so impressed that it adopted the American equipment immediately. The Elwood Lifesavers use a light American nylon line in association with the flotation equipment. The first lifesaver brings his patient ashore with the assistance of the line. His mate swims in with the 2 other girls clinging to the aluminium buoy. On the beach, the lifesavers start resuscitation. Elwood Club has its own ambulance and is one of the few clubs in Australia to use portable oxygen resuscitation equipment. Elwood Club, through Ampol Petroleum Limited, now has obtained more equipment from the County of Los Angeles Lifeguard Service and uses it in all rescues. Meanwhile, at North Bondi in Sydney, a team of sturdy 10-year-olds gets in some early training in the traditional Surf Life-Saving Association belt and reel method of rescue and resuscitation. Coached by Brian Davidson, Bondi Beach Inspector, they proudly emulate the association rescue routine. And are they proud, these lifesavers of the future. They use a miniature reel Davidson has used for 20 years, and on which he has trained many surf champions. The belt boy is Nicky Nightingale, son of former surf champion Harry Nightingale. On the line is solid Neil MacDonald, grandson of famed beach inspector Stan MacDonald, the king of Bondi Beach. On the beach, sun-bronzed Brian Davidson gives the youngsters a lesson in resuscitation that will stand them in good stead all their lives, and beyond doubt, someday will help them save lives. You do it like this, Brian says. Terry Hutchins, brother of Brian Hutchins, Australian surf champion, takes it all in. Proud of the lesson they've learned, the very junior grade marches back to the patrol, to the men whose places they are destined to fill in a few years' time. The international carnivals in Sydney and Melbourne were the greatest in the history of the Surf Lifesaving Association. In all sorts of vehicles, in all sorts of jackets, lifesavers came from clubs all over Australia. For Americans like Dave Ballinger, the carnivals with their multitude of events were just plain fascinating. To the stirring skirl of the pipes, the Australian team goes into the march past, followed by Hawaii, South Africa, and New Zealand. Harry Nightingale, former Bondi champion, marches in the belt for the Ceylon team, with the Americans right behind. For the crowd, it was an unforgettable spectacle. Here are the Freshwater, Bronte, Coleroy, and North Staine teams from Sydney. At Torquay in Victoria, the Australian team again lead the parade. More than 60,000 people crowd the narrow beach. On the water's edge, proudly marching with the Union Jack, is Michael Martin, who represented Great Britain. Then come the Americans in their striking Australian-made Jansen costumes. In the foreground are North Bondi, winners of the march past, followed by the Kiwis. The international carnivals reproduced on a grand scale club carnivals which, more than anything else, helped to develop great lifesavers and to build the spirit of the life-saving movement. In the march past on the narrow Torquay beach, the late, great John Marshall was beltman in the Port Leo team, one of his last appearances before his tragic death. There is always colour and excitement in club carnivals, but the moment of true glory is the march-up of all the teams like this magnificent mass parade of athletes at Queenscliff Beach in Sydney. The rescue and resuscitation contest, the very essence of life-saving, is by far the most important event at a surf carnival. Here are the international teams in action. They go the Hawaiians. The American beltman plunges into the surf. They forge forward toward the patients waiting at the buoys about 300 yards out. The Americans pay out the line. Direct drill and for swimming parts. Through big seas, the beltmen swim towards the buoys. Hand over hand, the line goes up. The beltmen are at the buoys and have signaled to be pulled in. The anchor man works on the reel. The Hawaiians, Americans, and Singalese recover their patients. Examiners watch closely as the linesmen carry the inert patient ashore, because the slightest break in drill means loss of points. Here is a rescue and resuscitation event at Bondi in Sydney. The teams try to do their beach drill with perfection, because every second lost, every false move counts against them. Proud indeed is the club which wins the coveted R&R championship. The mass surf race also is a highlight of surf carnivals. The cream of Australia's surf swimmers are in this scramble to get into the surf and the early fight for positions. The swimmers have to swim around a buoy 300 yards out, then back to the beach. Here comes the winner. He's so far out in front, he must have cracked a beauty. For thrills and spills, the four-oar surf boats, the workhorses of the surf clubs, hold pride of place at any surf carnival. With muscles straining and bodies taut against spine-jarring collisions with the surf, the oarsmen fight their boats to the open water. They have to row out 800 yards and row back again, hoping for a shoot on the return journey. These crews fight it out in the open water. Oars flash in the sun as they head for the line of buoys. This boat has caught a boomer which sweeps it to the beach. It's a man's sport for strong men. Magnificent training for the task of saving lives on the wild seas of the Australian coast. Thousands of people owe their lives to the gallant crews of surf boats. Here they go again. Four men pulling as one, pitting their strength against the power of the sea, straining to make way and gather speed before a big wave knocks them back. It's all new to the Hawaiians. They watch in mute admiration. Here's what the surf boys call a howler. The boys ship their oars, all hands to the stern as the boat rides on to the beach. Swapped boats are commonplace in this he-man's pastime. Sometimes the surf is so rough it is almost impossible for the teams to get their boats to sea. Often, in dramatic rescues, they have battles like this to get out to the groups of surfers in need of help. But for all the exhausting effort, there is the reward of the welcome boomer that sends the boat skidding to the sand. There's plenty of excitement in surf ski races. Surf skis are an Australian invention and are used widely in life-saving. Mounted on these trim-lined, hollow cockle shells built for buoyancy and speed, the paddlers go right over the roughest breakers. They hope to pick up the right wave which will send them skimming to the shore. But it's not easy, and they have to watch out for upsets. At the international carnivals, Americans and Hawaiians competed in the surfboard races using their light boards. But in the strong surf, they had little success. Here, Mike Bright and Tommy Zahn lead the field in an international race. They seem to have the race won, but Zahn's board is too light. He collides with Bright and gets a ducking instead of a prize. So, at play, in sporting contests, and in the grim business of rescue, Australians enjoy to the full their country's great natural heritage. Under azure skies on any summer's day, scores of thousands throng our beaches. They are carefree because they know a superb band of trained and disciplined athletes are ever on guard to help those who fall victim to the changing moods of the capricious sea. Thanks to this magnificent organization, Australians can surf in safety. But surf lifesaving clubs do more than train youths to be lifesavers. They teach them all the elements of manliness and sportsmanship. They help them become real Australians. These boys on patrol set an inspiring example to the busy children who play innocently on our beaches. These serious young men can hardly wait until they're old enough to join a surf club and take their turn in real life at service in the sun. Hey there! Yes, young Australia. For you, adventure lies ahead.